Hello viewers, welcome to National Mission on Libraries Capacity Development Program. Today we are taking up the module on change management in libraries. The objectives of this module is to make aware with the change and change management concept, to make familiar about the changes taking place in libraries and information centers, to make you understand about the resistance and overcoming resistance for change management, and to discuss about the planning and implementation of change management. You know, change is everywhere nowadays. May it be public funded organization or privately owned organization, globally operating or locally working. It may be large sized or small ones. May it be service sector or commodity business. If we look at the libraries, everything has been changing over the years, but change is imminent now. Although it is not like this that change is a recent phenomena, it has always been there in the past as well. When you look back at the libraries, there used to be printed collection, mainly printed collection in libraries, but now shifting to digital collection. The libraries used to have printed catalog, now having opaque. They used to have manually circulation and security system. Now they have RFID technologies. Reference service in physical presence used to be there. Now there are virtual reference services offered in libraries. Not only this, the overall concept of libraries are changing from physical space to virtual space or digital libraries and so on. But we talk of change management, it is for the future and for the better future, and no one can escape from the environmental pressure because change is coming from outside world. It is imperative for all librarians to continually sensitive to the environmental changes, both external and internal, to use all relevant tools and techniques to inform themselves of change in the environment and to understand significance of these changes for their organization. External change may include economic or technological and socio-political dimension, whereas internal dimensions may include customers, physical resources, systems, and people. We will take up both the changes in little more detail. If you see in this picture, there are users who are in the center of whatever we do, because whatever we do is for the benefit of the users who are the ultimate customers for us. We have professional working over there, support staff, administration and technologists to help the users and meeting out their requirements. But if you look differently, whenever we talk of change management, it is more concerned with people behavior and people's approach to make changes happen in various programs, services, products, access, pricing model, and so on. In keeping in view the demand of different target groups. It is not the libraries which are only being affected with changes taking place outside, but it is the users also. They are also some way or other being influenced by these outside pressures, and whole spectrum of service becomes an area for change for the libraries. We take one by one the implications of environmental changes. When we look at the technological changes, you can see changes in media. Different media formats are there. You can talk of audio, video, textual, mix of medias. Change in delivery, not only on-site, but also it's possible to offer off-site at distance places and so on. Change in access has also taken place. And the real challenge is to make these media, delivery of services and products, and making accessible to the user's preferred mode, to make it user-centered. Similarly, economic changes are also affecting the libraries in big way. When we talk of economic things, the things are no different in different countries because the implications are almost similar. More private firms are coming in all kind of businesses, even in those areas which have been restricted in the previous years. May it be banking, may it be higher education, may it be insurance, may it be transportation, may it be any other area including libraries. And libraries and these institutions are under pressure to become self-sufficient. Not only that, when these institutions work in competitive environment, there is also a demand for increase in accountability and increase in efficiency. So the real challenge is generate the resources, generate change in management approach, and by partnership and alliances. The similar is with the social environmental changes. There are clear-cut indications and involvement of people who are deprived in the society. May it be housewives or dropouts in case of education, in service people. So there is also a demand for social justice for all, equality, right to information, right to education. These are the measures which every government is supposed to take up. So these are the areas which needs concern. And the real challenge is to uplift the weaker sections of the society, may it be information poor or economically backward or educationally backward. And the priority area of the service is to address the needs of these people. So there has been also changes in political environment which is impacting libraries and other institutions. You can see the democratization process has reached at the grassroots level in the panchayats. There are reservations for the backward classes, for the women, for the different category of people to raise their level of life and stand in the society. equally. And this has not only put democratic process at the grassroots level, but also quality consciousness has also arisen. The real challenge is to bring out qualitative change or become obsolete. And of course, demand for good governance is also required, also being felt, because administration needs to be accountable, transparent, with good governance. If you look at the internal environment, in libraries we have buildings, we have information resources, we have human resources. These are the things which we have for the support of the users, because users are the center point of the libraries. Users are the most important persons visiting our premises. They are not dependent on us, we are dependent on them. They are not outsiders, they are part of our business. They are not just tiresome statistics, they are human beings. They have wishes, they have needs, and these needs must be addressed properly. Whatever technology, rules, whatever finances, whatever mechanism of decision making by the authorities should be user-centered. Only then the real purpose of libraries is fulfilled. If we analyze nature of change in libraries and information centers, it is evident of the fact that libraries operate in wider spectrum of technological, economic, political, social and cultural aspects. It is a time of faster changes with wider implications. Traditionally, libraries were perhaps slower at first to respond to outside influence, but now they need to be as active as their counterparts in adopting strategic planning and commercial outlooks, besides use of newer technologies. Wider use of information technologies in acquiring, organizing, access, retrieval and sharing of information, which traditionally has been the domain of librarianship. Adequate funds are very much needed. Librarians have a grave concern about falling in their annual financial grant, taking more positive attitude towards increasing income from a range of external sources, and the way stretching limited funding. A library operates in a wider context or environment, forming a dynamic relationship with other organizations. This phenomenon determines the conditions which have an impact on overall management of libraries and information centers. So what we have seen is that everything is changing, and change has become a buzzword now. Change is universal. Change will occur throughout our lives, at homes, at works, in the world around us and in us. As management is charged with the responsibility of maintaining a dynamic equilibrium by diagnosing situations and designing adjustments that are most appropriate for coping with changing environment. In other words, it can be an attempt to improve the performance of staff, teams and the whole organization by altering structure, behavior, strategy and technology. As change can be seen as ending a task, procedure, relationship, activity, a transition period allowing adjustment, learning, coping, training, embarking on a new activity, relationship process. In simplest words, change management means to plan, initiate, realize, control and finally stabilize change processes on both corporate and personal level. Change is the continuous adoption of corporate strategies and structures to changing external conditions. Change management comprises both revolutionary one-off projects and evolutionary transformations. If we look at the content of change, in particularly an organizational setup, there are some general principles hold true for all organizations. Nilkant and Satnarayan identifies 4 areas that can be targeted for change. This can be technologies, quality, cost and marketing. However, in libraries being not-for-profit service organizations, some more areas are necessary to be addressed while addressing change and may include accountability and efficiency. So, if we take one by one, technology is the most important area of change nowadays. You see the change in libraries by way of automation or digitization, or by offering Wi-Fi services, or competing with Google, or discussing of library services in Web 2.0 environment, or adopting or using open source softwares for library operations and cloud-based services. But one thing we should always keep in mind, that technology come and go, because unless you take advantage of the technologies available, we are at loss. So, we should always keep in mind that technology comes first and the marketing follows. Technology embodied adaptability, programmability, customizability and marketing that delivers on those qualities. Libraries are needed to evaluate their activities with the external environment, get in touch with the users and their needs, and integrate this analysis into everyday operations of the library. Marketing is not a function of any one department designated in the library or an organization. Rather, it is an organizational function and a set of processes for creating, communicating and delivering value. This word value is very important, because when user comes to the library, he expects some value to gain. So, delivering value to customers and for managing customer relationship in a way that benefit to both organization and its stakeholders. We cannot rely on the model of storing information. Rather, we should work for developing a model based on use of information, sharing of information. Quality is directly related with accountability. If people are accountable, quality is certain to come. As rightly considered that we are liable towards users, fund providers, society, government, we must fulfill this obligation. A major thrust of the new environment is to promote culture of enterprise and accountability. Accountability is, in a way, a guidepost to excellence. Lack of accountability breeds irrelevance and mediocrity. Excellence and accountability would go together. If any institution is intrinsically committed to excellence, it automatically wishes to be accountable. Implication for LIS manager is to be more accountable to users, fund providers and to the society. Accountability is also directly related with the transparency, and being the public institutions, libraries must be transparent to the society. Efficiency is again very important in libraries, because libraries are generally free services and they are considered as underperformed institutions. But there is nothing, maybe this could be the reason because of free service policy, but there is nothing free in this world. Traditionally, library users directly did not pay for the services, but indirectly taxpayers paid up for it. So, taxpayers are the third party and users are not able to visualize the funder of the service providers. Consequence of the free service philosophy hindrances the efficiency of the service, though the situation is reversed. But this approach is certain to change when an organization comes in competition to other, particularly with the private sector enterprises which have competitive advantage over the public sector in terms of efficiency. Changes can be of many types. In brief, these can be of 4 types: anticipatory, reactive, incremental, strategic. Anticipatory changes are those which are made up with an intention to take advantages of situations which are expected to arise. Such changes are systematically planned. Reactive changes are those in which organizations are forced to react for the change due to environmental pressures. Incremental changes, these changes are made up with an intention to maintain functioning of an organization on its chosen path. And strategic, these changes have great influence on the overall functioning of the organization. There are different models of change management. Kurt Lewis propounded in his field force theory that an equilibrium is maintained by drawing forces and restraining forces. This may put some movement but also increases resistance by strengthening the restraining forces. Another approach, and one that is usually more effective, is to reduce or eliminate the restraining forces and then move to a new level of equilibrium. In organizations, therefore, a change in policy is less resisted when those affected by it participate in the change. The change process involves the following 3 steps. Unfreezing, it creates motivation for change. When people feel discomfort with the present state of affairs, they may see desirability for change. Another step is moving or changing. It may occur through assimilation of new information, exposure to new concepts, or development of a different perspectives. The next step is rephrasing. It stabilizes change which needs to be congruent with the person's self-concept and value, which reinforces new behavior in the people. But how to lead for change? Whether a library manager should take a lead for the change or should invite external to make change happen. Cotter introduced his 8-step change process in the book Leading Change, and these steps include creating urgency. Need for change needs to be created, and such sense must go on in the whole organization. Forming a powerful coalition. It's necessary to convince people that change is necessary. Strong leadership and support of people is imminent. Creating a vision for change. A clear-cut understanding of change among employees is required in the language they can understand. Communicating the vision. This is very important because success depends on the implementation of the vision into realities. Removing obstacles. People don't like change, and resistance may take place at some point of time. It is necessary to overcome such resistances. Removing obstacles can empower the people you need to execute your vision. It can help the change move forward. The next step is creating short-term wins. Small steps need to be taken, and success on these small steps matter a lot. It may boost confidence of employees and motivate them. The next one is building on change. Good beginning and thereafter continuous successes provide opportunities to build on what were the right decisions and need for scope for improvement in the future. Encouraging the change in corporate culture. To make a change, it is necessary to make a change strict and setting values that it must be reflected in day-to-day operations. But as I have already said that change is people centered, and people don't like change many a times. They, maybe due to fear, maybe due to some kind of inconvenience, but the reasons for this resistance could be people don't understand and don't want to understand why change is required. People have not been fully informed. People's habit and security is threatened. People are happy with the status quo. People have vested interest and definite perceptions of what is needed or wanted, even if they agree that change is necessary. Rapid change or the speed with which change occurs causes great strain on the organization. Rapid changing technology and societal conditions render some individual obsolete. But there is always need to overcome these resistance by ensuring that change is introduced gradually. Listen carefully and negotiate fairly over staff concerns. Be responsive to their ideas. Maximize communication opportunities. Let everyone know exactly what is happening and encourage feedback through the entire process. Minimize unnecessary disruptions to staff by, for instance, having building work done out of hours. Be positive and enthusiastic about the advantages of the change. Identify key staff members who will be becoming change champions, acting as role models who will influence other staff. Align the proposed changes with individuals and organizations' ethos and values, maintaining momentum and interest throughout the process, and try to ensure a successful change process. It makes the next one easier to implement. So, change needs to be planned in a way that it takes place successfully, and for planning there are some steps which are required. The first step is to conceptualize the concept. Clear understanding and developing awareness, deciding whether to and envisaging the change. Preparing, getting the organization ready for change, listening to the staff members and consider their feelings respectively, organizing the planning groups, selecting staff to participate and building them into teams and organized meetings, planning by creating and examining options based on the goals and objectives, and then developing a plan, deciding by evaluating the options with pros and cons, deliberating, and then making a decision, managing the individuals by discussing the change and dealing with reactions to it, then monitoring its implementation, controlling resistance by identifying resistance, analyzing its source and counteracting it, implementing by formal introduction of the change at the right time and then following it thoroughly, evaluating by re-examining the goals, identifying problems and making adjustments, involve staff from the very beginning and prepare them well in advance for change that will occur. This is very important for implementing change. It is also important to have meetings and brainstorms to identify problems that may arise with the proposed changes and also those that may occur during the changeover process. Let clients and users know in advance if the change is likely to have any impact on them. It is also important to select certain key staff who are well trained and motivated to be change agent. They will act as leader to facilitate the introduction of the new system. It is necessary to make sure that during the changeover you make time to be fully involved and ready to assist wherever necessary. Have regular progress reviews where all staff involved can comment on the change, highlight problem areas and try to promptly redeem the potential troubles. It is a major change, then try to introduce it in stages or conduct a test run first in order to identify problem areas. So, in conclusion, what we have learned in this module is that you have seen that change is constant and every organization and individual has to undergo for change, not only once but time and again. As such, change has become a reality of the present and will remain in future as well. There is always a need for keeping a track of the changes taking place outside and inside the organization, which may have impact on the organization individuals. The successful manager is one who can anticipate change impact and plan in advance to deal with the future change. He can make the changes favorable for the organization by involving individuals. There are various ways to anticipate and undertake changes, but these cannot be universal and are situational for an organization. Thank you all.